known Fred story, the kosher cowboy. And one Sunday morning, Dave Houck, who was another gentleman that worked with us, had exited the freeway and saw in his rear view mirror Shuffler driving up behind him in his truck. And you know, a lot of times when you're on that access road, or whenever you're driving on a kind of like road rage thing, you try to get in front of somebody. Well, Dave was in that middle lane, and Fred was in the far right lane, and Fred knew he had to get over, so he was trying to get in front of Dave to make that turn onto the beltway. And Dave saw this, and every time Fred would speed up, well, Dave would speed up and wouldn't let Shuffler over. So now they came up to the stoplight. When the light turned green, Dave kind of eased and made his left turn. Well, Shuffler had to continue straight and go down the next Aldi and Thunder to make the U-turn to get to work. Houck beat Shuffler to work by 5 minutes and is telling us all this, and we're all having a good laugh. 5 minutes later, in walks Fred, and all he could talk about was the schmuck in the truck. And then we said, Fred, let us introduce you to the schmuck in the truck.
I was working control tower in the Air Force, Carswell Air Force Base, SAC base. Strategic Air Command said B-52s, KC-135s, and west side of the runway was General Dynamics. And they were making the F-111 at the time. So the runway was huge. It's 11,500 feet long, 1,000 feet of overrun on each end, and 300 feet wide. So Sunday morning, there was nothing going on. And the B-52s or KC-135s would have what they call a controlled departure time. That's when they wanted to take off. They still had to get clearance from control tower to do it. So KC-135 got taxi instructions down at the south end of the runway, going to take off north. It's holding short, had about 10 minutes before time to take off. And so an F-111 called me. There was nothing going on, calm wind, and he wanted to go mid-runway, opposite direction, takeoff to the south. So I cleared him for takeoff, there's nothing going on. So he starts rolling, I'm writing down the time, I look to my left, here comes the KC-135 rolling. So now they're doing this number on the same runway. And so I keyed the mic and I said, abort, 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 aircraft opposite direction. And the F-111 said, we see him, we'll be airborne before we get to him. He pulled up and KC-135 shut everything down. Immediately, they start blaming us, and they pull the tapes. And what happened, command post asked the KC-135, can you take off immediately? Oh, absolutely, we can do that. They didn't bother to ask us. Anyway, that was kind of a funny looking deal we had going on there.
Wow.
Jerry, tell us the story. Swanson, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I was kind of busy. I was working Industry Bergstrom combined. I was working by myself. I was kind of busy, and I was working a German Air Force C-130 going into Randolph. I guess it was going into Randolph. And she hits the line and said, hey, you got a second? I said, no, not really. But she goes, hey, tell that German Air Force guy, ich liebe dich. I said, okay, it's hung up. And so I tell the German Air Force guy, a friend of mine just said, ich liebe dich. He goes, oh, we love you too, Houston Center.